Folks, you're not going to believe this, but it is happening. It is really happening right now in the United States of America. And I am not joking. I am deadly serious when I say that we are watching the single most significant constitutional crisis, maybe in our entire history, unfold right before our very eyes, because Donald Trump has finally pushed Congress too far. And now they are pushing back with the full force of Article 2, Section 4. And let me tell you, he is stunned. He is absolutely stunned because he never thought, not for 1 second, that the rule of law would actually come knocking on his door like this. Welcome back to Bell with Ounce. I am your host, Joe Biden. Now look, before we get into the nitty-gritty of this, and there's a lot of nitty-gritty, I need you to do me a favor, a big favor, and go ahead and hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, do whatever you have to do to stay informed, because the mainstream media, they might gloss over this, they might try to make it about politics as usual, but this is not politics as usual. This is about the soul of this nation. So please join us, and let's get the truth out there. Here's the deal, folks. Article 2, Section 4 of the United States Constitution. It's not a suggestion. It's not a guideline. It is the law of the land. It says, and I'm quoting here, listen closely, the President, Vice President, and all civil officers of the United States shall be removed from office on impeachment for and conviction of treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. That's it. That is the check. That is the balance. And for a long time, for too long maybe, people thought that those words were just ink on parchment, that they didn't have teeth, that a president could do whatever he wanted, say whatever he wanted, threaten whoever he wanted, and get away with it scot-free. But what we are seeing today, what we are seeing this week, is Congress finally standing up and saying, no, enough is enough. And why are they doing it now? Why is this happening in December of 2025? Because we have seen conduct that goes so far beyond the pale, so far beyond what any of the founding fathers, Washington, Jefferson, Madison, Hamilton, could have ever nightmares about. We are talking about threats against the co-equal branch of government. We are talking about a president who looks at the separation of powers and sees it as an inconvenience, an obstacle to be bulldozed. You know, I've been around a long time. I was in the Senate for 36 years. I was vice president for 8 years. I was president for 4. I know how this town works. I know how the institutions are supposed to function. They are supposed to function on mutual respect. They are supposed to function on the idea that no one, absolutely no one, is above the law. Not the president, not the Justice Department, nobody. But when you have a situation where the executive branch is actively talking about, and I can't believe I even have to say these words, executing political opponents or treating valid oversight as treason, well, that is where the rubber meets the road. That is where Article 2, Section 4 stops being a history lesson and starts being a survival mechanism for our republic. Let's go back a bit. Let's look at the history here. The framers of the Constitution, they weren't perfect men, but they were smart. They had just fought a war to get away from a king, King George III. They didn't want another king. They were terrified of a demagogue. They were terrified of someone who would come in, use the passions of the mob, and dismantle the structures of liberty. Alexander Hamilton, in Federalist number 65, he talked about impeachment. He called it a method of national inquest, a national inquest into the conduct of public men. That's what this is. It is an inquest. It is asking the question, is the president honoring his oath, the oath that I took, the oath that every president takes? To preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. Not to preserve, protect, and defend himself. Not to preserve, protect, and defend his business interests or his ego. The Constitution. And when you have actions that threaten the very lives of the people in Congress, the people who are elected by you, the people to represent you, then you are violating that oath in the most fundamental way possible. It's a breach of trust. A profound, deep breach of trust. And that is what high crimes and misdemeanors really means. It doesn't necessarily mean you robbed a bank, though it could. It means you abused the power that was lent to you by the people. You took that public trust and you smashed it. And that is what Congress is looking at right now. They are looking at the rhetoric. They are looking at the actions regarding Venezuela. They are looking at the disregard for the war powers resolution. You know, the Constitution is clear about war too. Article 1 gives Congress the power to declare war, not the president. The president is the commander-in-chief, yes, but he can't just go around starting conflicts without the say-so of the people's representatives. That's not how it works. That's not how it's ever supposed to work. But we've seen this erosion, this slow creep of executive power, and now it has reached a breaking point. And let me tell you something else. This isn't about Republicans versus Democrats. I know it looks that way on TV. I know everybody wants to retreat to their corners. But if you talk to the people in the cloakrooms, if you talk to the people who really understand the gravity of this, there are people on both sides of the aisle who are worried. They are deeply worried. They look at what is happening to the institutions, the Department of Justice, the FBI, the intelligence community, and they see them being hollowed out, being politicized, being turned into weapons. That's not America. That's not who we are. We are a nation of laws, not of men. I've said it 1,000 times, and I will say it 1,000 more times until I can't speak anymore. We are unique in the world. We are the only nation founded on an idea. Every other nation is founded on geography or ethnicity or religion. We are founded on an idea. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. That is the idea, and the Constitution is the mechanism that protects that idea. If you destroy the mechanism, you destroy the idea. And if you destroy the idea, you destroy America. It is that simple. And that is why this Article 2, Section 4 showdown is so critical. It is the system saying, error, error, something is wrong. We need to fix it. Now, Trump, he's stunned. He's shocked. Why? Because he has spent his whole life thinking he can talk his way out of anything. He thinks he can bully his way out of anything. He thinks the rules don't apply to him. He thinks Article 2 gives him, as he said, the right to do whatever I want, but it doesn't. It absolutely does not. Article 2 creates the presidency, but it also limits the presidency. It puts him under the law, not above it. And Section 4 is the ultimate limit. It is the eject button. It is the safety valve. And for Congress to even be discussing this, to be bringing these resolutions to the floor, to be having these committee hearings, it shows you how serious the situation has become. We are not talking about a disagreement over tax policy here. We are not talking about a disagreement over whether we should build a bridge or a tunnel. We are talking about the fundamental safety of the legislative branch. We are talking about the separation of powers. We are talking about whether we are going to be a democracy or an autocracy. It's a choice. It really is a choice, and every generation has to make that choice. Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do the same. And right now, this generation, the people in Congress today, they are facing that moment. They are facing their moment of truth. Are they going to stand up for the Constitution, or are they going to bow down to power? Think about the precedent this sets. If Congress does nothing, if they let these threats slide, if they let the executive branch trample all over their prerogatives, then the game is over. The balance is gone. You have a king. You have a dictator. You have someone who answers to no one. And that is dangerous. That is dangerous for you. It's dangerous for your kids. It's dangerous for the world, because the world looks to us. They really do. I've traveled the world. I've met with every major world leader for the last 40 years. And they look to America not just for our military might, not just for our economic power, but for our example. They look to us to see if democracy can work. If a diverse people from every background, every race, every creed, can come together and govern themselves. And if we fail, if we let our system crumble, if we let the Constitution become a dead letter, then the light goes out. The beacon of hope is extinguished. And that is why this is so much bigger than one man. It's bigger than Donald Trump. It's bigger than Joe Biden. It's bigger than the Speaker of the House. It's about the experiment, the American experiment. Is it going to survive? And let's look at the specifics of what triggered this showdown. The threats, the rhetoric. You can't have a president of the United States invoking violence against his political opponents. You just can't. In a democracy, we settle our differences at the ballot box. We settle them in the debate hall. We settle them in the courts. We don't settle them with threats of execution. We don't settle them with violence. That is the way of the thug. That is the way of the tyrant. And it has no place whatsoever in the Oval Office. When you hear language like that coming from the highest office in the land, it normalizes it. It tells people out there, people who might be unstable, people who might be angry, that it's okay to think that way, that it's okay to act that way. And we have seen the consequences of that. We saw it on January 6th. We've seen it in the political violence that has plagued this country. Words matter. The words of a president matter. They can move markets. They can send our brave men and women to war, and they can incite violence. And when those words turn into a direct threat against the constitutional order, Congress has a duty, a moral and legal duty, to act. They cannot sit on their hands. They cannot look the other way. And then there is the Venezuela situation, the war powers. You know, the Constitution gives the president the power to repel attacks. If someone attacks us, the president can act. He doesn't need to ask permission to defend the country, but to initiate hostilities, to start a blockade, to launch strikes that are not in self-defense, that requires Congress, that requires the people's voice, because it's the people's sons and daughters who fight those wars. It's the people's treasure that pays for those wars. And the founders wanted to make it hard to go to war. They wanted it to be a deliberative process. They didn't want one man making that decision alone. And when a president tries to bypass that, when he tries to say, I am the state, I decide, that is a usurpation of power. That is a high crime. That is exactly what Article 2, Section 4 was written for, to prevent a president from becoming a Caesar. And Congress, by invoking their powers, by pushing back, they are trying to restore the balance. They are trying to say, well, wait a minute, we have a say here. The American people have a say here. Now, I know some people say, oh, it's just political theater, it's just noise, but I'm telling you, don't fall for that. Don't be cynical. Cynicism is a poison. It makes you think nothing matters. It makes you think everybody's corrupt, but that's not true. There are good people in Washington. There are people who care about this country. There are people who read the Constitution and actually believe it, and they are fighting right now. They are fighting for you. They are fighting to make sure that when you vote, your vote matters, that the laws are applied equally, that nobody gets a free pass because they are rich or powerful. And this showdown, this clash between the branches, it is the system working. It is ugly. It is messy. Democracy is messy. It's not a spectator sport. You have to participate. You have to pay attention. You have to know what is going on. And that is why I'm talking to you today, because I need you to understand what is at stake. It's not just about one news cycle. It's not just about one vote. It's about the future of the republic. Think about the message we are sending to our children. What are we telling them? Are we telling them that might makes right? Are we telling them that if you are loud enough and mean enough, you can do whatever you want? Or are we telling them that character matters, that honesty matters, that following the rules matters? That is what is on the line, the character of the nation. I talk about the soul of the nation a lot because I believe it. I believe we are in a battle for the soul of America. And this constitutional showdown is the front line of that battle. On one side, you have the forces of autocracy, the forces of unchecked power, the forces of me first. On the other side, you have the forces of democracy, the forces of the rule of law, the forces of we the people. And I know which side I'm on, and I think I know which side the American people are on. Because deep down, Americans are fair. We don't like bullies. We don't like cheaters. We believe in a fair shake. We believe that everybody should play by the same rules. And when we see someone breaking those rules, smashing those rules, and laughing about it, it offends our sense of justice. It offends our sense of who we are. So, when you see the news about Article 2, Section 4, when you hear the pundits talking about impeachment and war powers and constitutional crises, don't tune it out. Lean in. Read the Constitution. Read the Federalist Papers, understand what your government is doing, because this is your government. It belongs to you, not to the president, not to Congress, to you. The first three words of the Constitution are, we the people, not I the president, we the people. And it is up to us, we the people, to demand accountability, to demand that our leaders follow the law, to demand that they respect the oath they took. And if they don't, if they refuse, then the Constitution provides the remedy. And that remedy is being dusted off right now. It is being put on the table. And Trump is stunned because he forgot about we the people. He forgot that ultimately the power resides with us. He thought he could charm us or scare us or distract us forever. But you can't fool all the people all the time. You just can't. The truth has a way of coming out. Justice has a way of asserting itself. The arc of the moral universe is long, as Dr. King said, but it bends toward justice. And sometimes it needs a little help. It needs people of courage to stand up and bend it. And that is what we are seeing in Congress. Some people are standing up. They are bending that arc. They are saying, this is not right. This is not American. And we are going to stop it. I want you to think about the alternative. Imagine if Article 2, Section 4 didn't exist. Imagine if there was no way to remove a president who had gone rogue. Imagine if he could threaten judges, threaten lawmakers, start wars, and there was nothing anyone could do about it until the next election, if there even was a next election. That is a terrifying thought. That is a nightmare scenario. But thankfully, the founders gave us this tool. They gave us this emergency brake. And now we have to decide if we have the courage to use it. It's not something to be done lightly. It's not something to be done for political gain. It has to be done for the right reasons. It has to be done to protect the Constitution. And from everything I am seeing, from everything I am hearing, the case is being built. The evidence is mounting. And the question is no longer, did he do it? The question is, does it matter? Does the Constitution still matter? Do we still care about the rule of law? I think we do. I know we do. I see it in the eyes of the people I meet all across this country. People are tired of the chaos. They are tired of the anger. They want their government to work. They want decency. They want normalcy. And they know that you can't have normalcy if you have a president who is constantly setting fires to the institutions of democracy. So buckle up, folks, because this is going to be a bumpy ride. The next few weeks, the next few months are going to be critical. We are going to see arguments made that haven't been made in centuries. We are going to see legal theories tested. We are going to see the strength of our democracy tested. But I am optimistic. I am always optimistic about America. I have never been more optimistic about America's future than I am today. Why? Because I know the American people. I know that when push comes to shove, we do the right thing. We might stumble, we might lose our way for a bit, but we always come back. We always find our true north. And our true north is the Constitution. It is the idea of liberty and justice for all. And as long as we hold on to that, as long as we defend that, we will be okay. We will get through this. We have been through civil war. We have been through world wars. We have been through depressions. We have been through pandemics. And we have always come out stronger on the other side. And we will come out of this stronger too. But we have to do the work. We have to stay engaged. We have to speak up. We have to support the people who are fighting for the rule of law. This Article 2, Section 4 showdown is history in the making. Don't miss it. Don't ignore it. Be a part of it. Be a witness to it. Tell your friends. Tell your neighbors. Did you hear what happened? Did you see what Congress is doing? Start the conversation, because an informed citizenry is the best defense against tyranny. It really is. If we don't know our rights, we lose them. If we don't know our history, we are doomed to repeat it. So let's not repeat the mistakes of the past. Let's learn from them. Let's stand up for what is right. Let's stand up for America, because America is worth fighting for. It really is. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops.